Good tidings, you're in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Our focus is on an excellent collaboration between Sufjan Stevens and Angelo Augustine entitled The Beginner's Mind. They released that on September 24th. This is the first collaboration between the artists. They've been working together now for about 5 or 6 years. I know Angelo has opened shows for Sufjan, and they've worked together in different capacities, but this is their first full-length project together. I'm sure it's not going to be the first either. There's those of you who probably saw this announcement and thought that this made complete sense. I wasn't that familiar with Angelo. I'd only heard of him because of his association with Sufjan, and so I was really excited to check out this project. I actually went back and listened to half a dozen tracks off of Tomb, which was Angelo's last album that he put out, and immediately thought the same thing. This makes absolute sense. A lot of similarities stylistically. Both their voices are just remarkable, and I think the dynamic that exists between these two is just, the way it plays out on this album is pretty remarkable. And I love the way this thing came together. They found themselves in upstate New York, kind of isolated by themselves, and they would watch movies every single night and then take the inspiration and write a song the following day. And so lyrically, this thing is all over the place, telling some pretty wild stories. I mean, and just to give you an idea, Sumerian Shade is the penultimate track. This song is written from the perspective of Buffalo Bill, the bad guy in Silence of the Lambs. So it's kind of a wild take on that. But I mean, that's what's I think that's what's fascinating about storytelling in general, is writing from a perspective, learning to take on that state of mind from someone that we all view as a very just sick, psychopathic individual. But leave it to a guy like Sufjan Stevens and a dude like Angelo Augustine to lend Buffalo Bill some humanity. Just blowing my mind with this stuff. And I'm glad that Sufjan put out this album as well. He put out Convocations in the first half of the year. That album was dedicated to his father, who passed away just towards the ends of last year. And it only took him 5 months to put together this volume of work. It's massive. He released it in 5 separate volumes. I think it's like 2.5 hours long. Very interesting to listen to. I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't think I'm going to go back and listen to it again, because as beautiful as a lot of the material it is, I do in a way find it very personal and very esoteric. And I'm sure there's some people that have experienced the loss of a parent that were, able to listen to that record, and maybe they enjoyed it. Maybe you at the very least found the album cathartic and were able to work through something. But it's not the type of Sufjan Stevens record that I'm used to. Most of his stuff I feel like I can just throw on and just enjoy on a regular basis. And this album is falling into that category. I'm loving the storytelling. I'm loving the musicianship, and just the delicacy of both of their voices. The harmonies that they put together are great, but I love, there's a lot of this record that is reminding me of a combination of like Elliott Smith and Simon and Garfunkel. Just, the forces that those two exercised in the creative process. And Sufjan Stevens, there's just so many moments where the subject matter is going to dark places, but there's this just light delicacy in his voice. It's just so gentle and just so beautiful. He's almost like that, I don't know, just that role model that you need in life, that kind of holds your hand and guides you through the tough stuff and levels with you about it, but is also not going to like yell at you and scream at you for your shortcomings or your mistakes or whatever it may be. I truly do appreciate Sufjan for that reason. I love the dynamic that's always existed there in his music between his lyrical content and just the sheer beauty of his voice. So this thing kicks off with Reach Out, beautiful acoustic plucking patterns. A lot of the musicianship in that regard is phenomenal. And this track builds, and it goes through these peaks and valleys and is very nicely put together. Just a really good example of when the instrumentation is simple, it's still very elegant and very well done, and there's tracks that take on that quality. And there's also tracks that really are very layered, have a lot of instrumentation going on, and are very well put together. Lady Macbeth in Chains is your second track. Really love this song. It's probably my favorite. It's got this gentle walking bass line that's slightly funky, and it's just got this chill, just very airy vibe to it. It's very relaxed, very, very easy song to listen to. But I'm loving, again, the lyrical perspectives that are coming from the inspiration that Sufjan and Angelo are taking from watching those movies, and it's just so entertaining to listen to these songs lyrically. Back to Oz is your third song. You can probably guess what that song is about, but I love the psychedelic soul feel, which from a music standpoint, with the movie that we're talking about, makes complete sense too. It's got a bit of this surf rock reverb that I'm really digging. The Pillar of Souls and You Give Death a Bad Name are songs 4 and 5, really digging into that Simon and Garfunkel type of feel there. Your seventh song, Olympus, is I was so blown away by this song. The instrumentation, the layers. It sounds so cheesy, but this song sounds like what you would hear when you got to the top of Mount Olympus. I mean, it's just that magnanimous. I can't think of a better word for the track. It's beautiful, and I'm loving it. This middle part of the record, though, Beginner's Mind, self-titled track, Murder and Crime, This Is the Thing, definitely take on this simplistic musical element, very folky. Loving the some of the acoustic strumming patterns that are taking shape in that song. Murder and Crime, especially loving the simplicity and the Elliott Smith vibe that's going on there. And then this thing, It's Your Own Body and Mind is your 10th track. It's got this lo-fi vibe, and as we work out, you start to get a little more layering, a little more structure in the songs. And I mean, the way this thing moves, the continuity of this record, you get really just some nice tracks with good depth to lead this thing off, and then they back it up a little bit. The highlight really is kind of focusing on the melodies and the harmonies between both their voices. And then we get a little build on the back end of this record. It's beautiful. It is extremely well done. I'm really, really thankful that Sufjan Stevens put this record out with Angelo. Not that I didn't enjoy Convocations, but this type of record is just more of what I've come to expect and to appreciate from a guy like Sufjan. And working with Angelo on this, they hit the nail on the head. Final please, without a doubt. Hope you enjoy listening to this record. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more album reviews this week, and we'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.